This is Win News.
Tonight, fire threatens property and infrastructure in the Latrobe Valley. Morwell North takes a stance on coal seam gas. And reflecting on Australia's worst peacetime naval disaster. Good evening, I'm Bruce Roberts. Also tonight, cheap land goes under the hammer in East Gippsland. Authorities expect it will take days to contain a fire which continues to threaten properties and industry in the Latrobe Valley. The biggest of the fires threaten power generation infrastructure at Hazelwood. However, authorities maintain there is no threat to supply.
Extreme heat and strong winds were a recipe for disaster.
This has been one of the most rugged fire days we've had across Victoria since Black Saturday.
The fire intensity is such that we can't get in front of it, and the winds were actually so strong that even the aircraft have limited capacity to assist us.
It caused the Hearns Oak fire, which started on Friday, to flare up.
It progressed very rapidly down along the corridor and the railway line, and then following the southwesterly wind change, it moved across the highway past the western edge of Morwell.
Heritage Manor was among the properties evacuated, and later the communities of Tyers and Glengarry West. Close to 700 people registered at relief centres in Moe and Traralgon. A complex of suspicious fires started near Driffield after the wind change, causing more headaches for firefighters.
It's more that we had obstacles in that we had a highway, a railway line, moving in and around urban areas.
The fire came dangerously close to properties on Morwell's western fringe, but miraculously no homes were lost.
We have had structures burnt, both at Morwell and down near Jack River. The assessments we've done to date indicate that they are all outbuildings, not primary residences.
One fire spotted into a disused part of the Hazelwood open cut mine adjacent to the Princess Freeway. It made for an anxious night for Wallace Street residents.
I had 3 hoses and just kept circulating.
Another destroyed SP AusNet infrastructure, cutting power into the mine and forcing 6 of its 8 units offline. But its owners maintain there is no threat to supply. Today, 5 aircraft and 28 crews continue to battle the blaze, which could burn for some time.
That's a bit like how long's a piece of string. If you're going to pick a fire that's the most difficult to put out, you'd probably start with a coal mine.
Wood piles are also continuing to burn at Australian Paper's Maryvale Mill.
There was some minor impact on the structures themselves late yesterday. That's been dealt with, so we now have this quite extensive pile of organic material that's burning that will take some days to extinguish.
Authorities today praised the efforts of firefighters and residents, but they say the threat is far from over.
So for the next 3 days we should be able to achieve some really good works on the ground to contain it. The test will be the next hot and windy day.
Brooke Van Newton, Win News.
The westbound lanes of the Princess Freeway between Newborough and Morwell have been reopened late this afternoon. However, the speed limit has been reduced to 60 kilometres an hour due to the damage caused. Authorities say the road closures will change with the fire conditions.
Fires typically during the night, early in the morning, are very quiet. We encourage people, if they need to move around, to do it sort of between 6 a.m. and midday. And then as the day hots up, the fire behaviour increases.
Motorists are urged to stay up to date via the Vic Roads website. Authorities estimate at least 10 properties have been lost across Gippsland as a number of bushfires continue to burn. 2,000 firefighters, some from as far away as New Zealand, are working around the clock to battle the out-of-control blazes.
Burning on either side, walls of fire cut roads near Lindenow. Farmers did all they could to prevent the blaze damaging their properties. As flames engulfed paddocks, stock raced to escape their heat. At Glenalladale, houses stood untouched amongst blackened paddocks. It was the result of the Mount Ray Boundary and Limpias Road fires, which merged to create a 6,800 hectare blaze.
One of them actually breached its containment lines under the extreme conditions yesterday. Those 2 fires actually joined.
Authorities confirmed today one residential property was lost, but there's still no word as to the extent of the damage.
There is some evidence we may have lost 2 to 3 houses.
At the present time, we are unable to say with any accuracy the extent of the loss of houses and property more generally. It may be that anything up to 10 houses.
A number of fires continue to burn in the Snowy National Park, as they have for weeks. Those fires not only expanded, some merged. In the Dedic Trail-Goongra area, a 100,000 hectare complex threatened the communities of Bonang and Kavanandra.
It did cause all sorts of problems, showering embers and into the Bendoc community as well, but largely that's been okay now. But I've got no doubt that in the Bonang Valley there will be some impact on homes.
Further south, the Club Terrace fires posed less of a threat.
We have one small 100 hectare slop over which guys are dealing with at the moment, and we don't anticipate too many problems out of that.
From the air, plumes of smoke could be seen near Yarram. Fire authorities say while weather conditions are relatively benign, they're preparing for a battle lasting weeks. Alexandria Dzadzimarkis, Win News.
And police are treating a fire which burnt through 7 hectares of rural bushland near Jindavik as suspicious. The fire started at the corner of Main Neeram Road and Old Main Jindavik Road at midday yesterday. Water bombers helped CFA crews bring the blaze under control. Police are searching for the male driver of a small white 4-wheel drive. Meanwhile, a service was held in Traralgon South on Friday night to mark the 5th anniversary of Black Saturday. For the first time, relatives of the 11 people who lost their lives in Gippsland on February 7, 2009 gathered to lay wreaths. CFA personnel and politicians were among those in attendance for the low-key service.
The threat eases on Victoria's fire front, but a dozen homes are gone and police are hunting several arsonists. A mother's tale of survival, taking her 3 young children into a dam.
We just kept him right up to our neck, so we just sort of held the blanket up like it was a tent, tried to keep the smoke out, and just wished it would hurry up and go past.
Good evening, Ian Henderson with ABC News. Victoria's fire threat has eased this evening, but across the state, hundreds of people were counting their losses today. On the bright side, there are no known deaths or even significant injuries arising from yesterday's fire emergency. Today, 29 fires are still burning across the state and 20 of them are out of control. Of the 200 grass and scrub fires reported yesterday, the arson squad is investigating at least 12 which it believes were deliberately lit. The official number of homes lost is 12, but many more farm buildings were destroyed as well, and farmers are reporting heavy stock losses. At the height of the fires, some 6,000 firefighters were deployed to confront the worst conditions since Black Saturday. Tonight, there are 3 significant fires. North of Melbourne, the fire front is between Wallen and Kilmore. To the east in Gippsland, the Morwell fire is burning in the open-cut mine at the Hazelwood Power Station. And further east still, the Snowy River complex of fires has burnt out thousands of hectares of bushland but currently presents little threat to homes. But first tonight in Gippsland, firefighters are concentrating their efforts on a fire in the open-cut coal mine near Morwell. It's already forced the Hazelwood Power Station to scale back production, and there are fears it may burn for weeks. The big fire in the Snowy River National Park has burnt out around 10,000 hectares but currently presents little threat to homes. While across Gippsland last night, more than 600 people had to flee their homes as thousands of firefighters worked to hold back the flames. From the Latrobe Valley, Sarah Farnsworth reports.
Authorities say it could take days for this fire in the open-cut coal mine in Morwell to be brought under control. Fuelled by stronger winds, it merged overnight with a blaze which had flared up in Driftfield and raced towards the Hazelwood Power Station, with residents reporting a series of explosions.
The sky lit up and yeah, everyone could see it and you could hear it as well. It was scary.
The power station owner, GDF Sue, says the fire is burning in a disused area of the mine, but fire damage to power lines has brought part of the mine to a standstill.
The real challenge in relation to the state's power supplies is to stop the fire getting into the other end of the pit where the productive work is done.
Only 2 of 8 generators are currently up and running at the Hazelwood power station, and that's using an alternate power supply. It significantly reduced the power output from the station, but what's hoped is that 2 more generators can be brought back online quickly once power is restored to the mine. Crews are also concerned about a fire in the nearby Australian paper mill. To the west of Morwell, fire destroyed sheds and threatened homes, scaring residents.
I had a look and I seen a heap of smoke coming, and within minutes there was fire, you know, and it jumped the road, and I jumped in the car and retreated.
In nearby Driffield, a fire, which is believed to have been deliberately lit, came within metres of Lee Daly's house.
They had the car ready to go, but yeah, it was a bit scary.
With the threat to the town of Morwell now over, all efforts have moved to the raging mine fire, with the CFA making the blaze its highest priority in Victoria. Sarah Farnsworth, ABC News, Latrobe Valley.
A big fire continues to burn in the underground coal mine near Morwell in the Latrobe Valley. It stopped work at the Hazelwood power station, which is only running on a quarter capacity. Seb Costello has those details.
A wall of flame devours trees around Morwell. CFA crews race along the perimeter as spot fires move over 2 kilometres ahead of the main blaze.
There are extreme conditions.
As the temperature hit 40 in Gippsland yesterday afternoon, Ben found himself surrounded in smoke. Desperately opting for garden hoses, Ben and his crew were able to save thousands of livestock, returning today to try and cool off the blackened paddocks.
Bit of a new experience for an Irishman. We're well used to floods, not these fires.
Much of CFA attention was directed at an out-of-control fire burning in the Hazelwood coal mine. As the fire burned deep into the pit, much of the plant was shut down, with fears for the state's energy supply.
It certainly has the potential, if not contained, to do so.
The Morwell fire originated in Hearns Oak on Saturday, burning through over 800 hectares to the southeast. At Driffield, another blaze began to burn towards Hazelwood, a fire police are treating as suspicious. Not far from here, the Hearns Oak and Driffield blazes combined to create a much larger and much more dangerous fire front, with obstacles to contend with, like the Princess Highway and the railway line. Around 2,000 firefighters were called in.
Most rugged fire days we've had across Victoria since Black Saturday in 2009.
With flames racing towards his Morwell home, John Gardner fled for his life.
Oh, I had tears coming in my eyes, put it that way.
Returning to find his place still standing, John rang his wife to say fire had been stopped metres before their front door.
I could see it was good as gold, and I was laughing. And thanks to the fire brigade.
Down the road, water bombers pounded a nearby pine plantation that had also been gripped by an out-of-control fire. While fellow CFA officers sealed off the area and did everything they could to reduce the smoke around Hazelwood.
Seb Costello joins me live. Seb, how long is this fire likely to burn?
Evening, Pete. Well, the fire in the Hazelwood coal mine, that's out to my right, that darker smoke, that's expected to burn for at least a week, with a couple of flare-ups today, making it very, very difficult. Behind me you can see a complete curtain of smoke across Morwell. Obviously Hazelwood out to the right, to the left, that's that pine plantation that was water-bombed this afternoon. But on Hazelwood, a positive note, and that's that electricity generation could return to the plant as soon as tomorrow. All that takes is the reconnection of a power line, which, Pete, is expected at 7 p.m. this evening.
That's good to hear. Thank you.